Welcome to The Other Side of the Bridge with Iron City Paranormal, where they discuss real investigations, first-hand experiences, unexplained moments, and everything that happens when you step off the regular path and onto the other side of the bridge. Just honest paranormal talk, Iron City Paranormal style. And now, here are your hosts, Derek Smith and Dan Metelsky.
There are moments when curiosity asks us to step forward, even when we don't know what's waiting for us ahead. A bridge is the physical embodiment of our curiosity taking over, allowing our passion for the unknown to drive us forward. A bridge is where we leave solid ground behind, and for a moment, we're suspended between what we understand and what we don't. The transition between where we feel safe and where we lose full control of our own destiny. Tonight we're crossing that bridge together. Welcome to the other side of the bridge. We're not here to tell you what to believe. We're here to walk with you across the bridge and into the unknown.
I'm gonna just say it. We're here on part 3 for Blennerhassett Island. I recorded that little intro right before we started, and I tried to mess with it to make it sound spooky. I don't like it. It sounds kind of like Stephen Hawking, and we're going to fix that for the next time. Not a big fan. Guys, welcome back for part 3.
We're learning as we go.
We are. But Blennerhassett Island case study, part 3, the final chapter. This has been a fantastic start to what we are considering case studies within Iron City and within this podcast. I love it.
To know how many we're gonna do, right?
Well, case studies, right? I mean, we have a ton of stuff over the last 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
And I just love this. I mean, Aaron, you were the one that came up with this idea of doing like a solid chunk of episodes, like, you know, specifically tied to one investigation. And I have to say, now that we're on the other side of it, like I was on board beginning, of course, but you know, now that we've done this almost all the way through, I really love the idea, and it has brought back so much emotion for me for this location. So thank you for bringing this up. I think it's a phenomenal idea.
You know what's funny too is because we started to put all this stuff back together, we upgraded to .org. And when we did that, 2 years ago, whatever it was, we ended up losing some things as far as the transition goes. Mm-hmm. And so we started rebuilding these things. And when we did that, it's like, you remember that this happened? Do you remember seeing this picture or hearing this recording? And it's like, you forget sometimes how cool some of these moments are and how meaningful they are. And it's really cool to see these things, to dive back into them. Relive them, if you would. So, but anyway,
it's like watching a television series that you loved for the first time again, right? Like you can't do that. Then that's a shame about things. Like the first time you watch something on TV that just is like a series that takes you and grabs you and takes you along for a ride, like you will never be able to relive that again for the first time. Right. But like that's exactly what this feels like. Is I don't want to say I forgot about this investigation, but it just the impact that it had on me, and really how it like showing the progression of Iron City from the first time we were there to the last time we were there, and then since then how much has changed. Like this
not only that, but this location it's layered, and I mean so many different ways. And Aaron, I know you weren't with us, you know, for these, but I feel like we pulled you right in, you know.
No, and it was so interesting too. Like there's so often that we go to these repeat locations where we're going 2 or 3 times, maybe more. But whenever we do those investigations, we dive into those investigations and what we found that particular time we go back, we focus so completely on that. And very, very rarely do we go back and look at a full picture and pull everything back together in such a concise way. And it's so interesting to see, even what you guys have talked about, like repeat stuff that you found and you know, different things like that, like going and looking at a location over the course of a number of investigations has been really, really awesome to be a part of that ride.
So episode 1 of this case study, we kind of made and I hate to say this now that I think of it, because everything that we do for cleansing is always in a clockwise motion, right? That's like the positive vibe. We went counterclockwise around the island. So when on the first episode we talked about the mansion, that was like when you get off the ferry, you set up in the field for your camping, and then you got this big honking mansion in front of you. So that was, where we started our adventure on the island. Seeing full body apparitions in the mansion, getting some cool EVPs, seeing things move. It was pretty awesome, right? And then we took a further step back behind the island on the last episode, where we really dug into that phenomenal capture, I think, of the Watcher, right?
What we did is we actually traced our steps on the island, because we hit the mansion first, then we went for a walk around it. We hit the Neil house, and the block house where the Watcher was. We actually, that's kind of how this ended up coming together. Just the way that it did is we actually kind of traced our steps in these, and it makes perfect sense, and really what we're getting into tonight too.
Yeah.
And in this last part of the island, we're done with the cool, obvious things. Like the mansion, obviously, it's an old house, right? And it's an enclosed space, and it has feelings, whatever, and then you get back to the back, and then there's the woods, the darkness, the house that's falling over, the house that was brought over on a freaking boat that I still can't get over, that whole thing. So then you kind of leave that area, and this part of the island that we're going to touch on before we wrap the whole series is really not much to look at, right? It's a giant open field.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, first off, don't say cool, because this whole place was cool. But like you're saying, I mean, the big things, the obvious things. But yeah, I mean, what we really get into at this point is a legit field. And it kind of goes together too. That whole area, what we're talking about, it goes the field, which is right beside the tree, which is right beside the dock. Like it's kind of, chunked together in that area, if you will.
Yeah. So this dock is on the opposite side of the island from where the ferry comes in. So this is not the dock. When you hear us talk about docks, there's two on the island. There's one for the people that come across on the ferry, typical tours and those kind of things. And then there's this other dock. It's a smaller one. It's a little metal dock that sticks out into the Ohio. And it is where the horses come onto the island, right? And I think looking at this photo, I think this is actually the ferry that is just docked on the land, right? So this is
I that's all it is, and I believe they also use it for supplies.
Yep.
But yeah, its main reason was for the horses, I believe.
It's a horsey transport boat,
and that's exactly what it is.
Heck yeah.
It's nothing crazy, nothing to write home about, but there have been stories about this area, and it's definitely it does catch your eye, though. I will say that when you're walking around there, it opens up, right? Like the tree line opens up into the water, and it is there. You're not going to miss it when you're walking by.
Yeah. So then coming like off of where that boat is, attached to land, there's this big open field that has a very, let's say, suspicious looking tree, right? It's a big open field, which is Nemacolin's field, as we're going to refer to it. I think it's actually what it's called, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, they actually have a sign there calling it that, because I don't think they know what else to call it.
Yeah, I mean, why not, right? And then there's actually a tree, like I said, that is suspicious in the fact that it stands out, right? There's no giant trees other than like in this area. There's back in the woods areas along the edges. Sure, there's trees, but this one's kind of just standing there by itself. And that little roadway that goes back to the back of the island actually goes right underneath this thing.
And it's funny, when I was putting together that intro video, I was kind of watching for all these like landmarks, right?
Mhm.
You know, you can see the Neil house falling down. You can obviously see the mansion. And as you get over to that side, there's one thing that stands out in this field, and you can clearly see this tree.
Mhm.
You know, it's there even from those overheads.
So that totally
Mhm.
stands completely alone. There's no other trees around it.
That's
That is
correct.
correct.
There's
Yeah, there's you can see. I don't see if you can see Aaron on the left hand side. There's like the little gathering of trees, and then on the right
Yeah.
hand side, you kind of see where the tree line comes down to the right. Those are, more like where there's a heavier population, so to speak, of
Yeah.
trees. But yeah, this one's like in the middle of the damn field. It's just kind of there, right? And
Yeah.
what's the reason that we have referred to it as the hanging tree? We're going to get into it a little bit with our evidence, but if you notice on the left side of this photo, there is a long, low hanging branch that kind of bends down over the road. And the paranormal group, Hidden Marietta, told us that there has been some communication that has come around near that tree that leads them to believe that this may have been used to hang people on the
Mhm.
island. They don't know who or what was hanged on this tree.
some of our evidence tells us how
Question.
many.
Yes, it does.
They-
So yeah.
Have they alluded to if those were judicial or extrajudicial hangings?
They don't know.
So,
They
well,
don't know.
I will tell you they're short on information because it's kind of there's conflict,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
There's
Right.
conflict behind what it could be, and without being able to say for sure whether it is one person or one group of people or
Yeah.
another, it's just easier to say that they need more information.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, so those are the three areas we're going to get into on this episode with some evidence. And then we're going to kind of do just a general recap of the entire island and really talk about, again, the impact, right? Like what really makes this a special place. So let's jump right into it. Let's get into the aforementioned Nemacolin's field. Derek, take it away, Mr. History.
I mean, so Nemacolin's field, it's really a field.
You
I don't
don't
know how
say.
else to,
You
I don't
don't
know how
say.
else to say it.
Named after this
but
guy.
this guy, they don't even know if he's buried here. But he is a big part of the establishment for this area. I mean, I know that as far as Chief Nemacolin himself, you know, he was definitely a mainstay prior to anyone populating this island. He was really a focal point in the mid 1700s that it's he really set that island up as a place that these natives could live. It wasn't the way that we see it now. He created it that way, and he allowed that to be a livable, um, uh, inhabitable inhabitable place.
Nice. You brought
And
it back. You brought it back.
I pulled it right back.
Inhabitable.
Inhabitable. But I would actually I think that the most people, when you think about Nemacolin, it's the path that he created, uh, literally named after him again. And it's more in the Appalachian region, I believe. I don't know the exact specifics to that spot, but what he did was he was able to connect these people from all around. Really became a mainstay. He was a negotiator. He was really the go between the settlers, between the Europeans and the natives that were already there. And what it did was it pulled everybody together. and he was the one who before everything was there, this was him. This was his place, and he really made a name for himself. And from between traveling there, between people gathering there, it really was. It became his home. But what we're talking about here is it's it's not just when you talk about the paranormal side of things too. It's not just the blockhouse, the mansion. It's the whole area, and it really you can actually feel it when you're there in this field by this tree. It emanates here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a lot of it, right? That's a lot of in this part of the island is the emotion. It's the emotion. It's the heaviness. It's all tied, right? And we're gonna put all those pieces together later. And this is where we offered some tobacco to the fallen Native Americans on the island, to possibly Chief Nemacolin. It's always good, right? It's always respectful to offer something to the spirits, especially whenever they're Native American, and obviously with the conflicts with the colonials and all that kind of stuff, right? I mean, it's obviously it's always a good thing to give some sort of offering to show respect. So we did do that. Didn't light very well. The tobacco that we bought at Sheets or something like that was extremely damp. It just didn't want to light, but at least the intention was there.
I have something. I had a moment. I wonder. I'm sorry. I got really excited.
I love your moments.
I know. I'm sorry. So have you? I read an article the other day. We're gonna bring it back though, about how trees communicate with each other, and about the network of trees, that like how trees will literally like send communication back and forth. And so much of what we talked about, and I know how we talked about after the episode last time, was tied to the trees. I just wonder how much of that trauma and that history is being translated through the network of trees on the island. Okay, continue with what's happening here.
No, I mean, that's actually a really
there's
cool
so much
thought.
that's tied to like the indigenous history that's here, and nature, and being outside, and the trees are so prominent everywhere. I mean, we're talking about a massive tree this time in the middle of in a completely open space. It's just the network of trees just literally communicating with each other, and communicating that trauma and their experience, and maybe being used as a pathway for different things too. Who knows? I don't know. Continue with what you were saying there, Derek. Sorry.
Oh no, I mean, you're good. I mean, we talked about this. I think the trees come up every episode, right? Yeah. And if I may, we're gonna go back to what you guys were talking about. These tree lines always seem to come up, and they come into play. But this one spot, again, it stands out. It stands above the rest, and you can tell, and you can feel it. And like you were saying, Dan, we made that offering, right? When we were doing that, if you recall, I think we psyched ourselves out a bit as it was happening. We actually thought we called upon someone. You can see this how dark this is, right in the middle of the night.
Ignoring the flashlight, right? Ignoring the flashlight.
Yes, that's our
flashlight. It's pretty dark. It's pretty dark.
Yeah.
I love that flashlight, by the way. That could light up the whole island.
It was good. It was a good flashlight. I don't know where that is. It was good.
This spot, though, we kind of scared ourselves with everything we were doing, the communication we were having, and then all of a sudden we hear this like grunting, growling, and then we see these two eyes, just these, well, white. They were just white, but from a distance, we found out that it was a deer.
It was a very upset deer.
It was.
Like, it was
very
not happy we were there.
No, but
it's okay.
When we were there, we did get some really cool things. I know we focused there. We focused a lot of our time there, mainly because of that offering. But as it were, we'll continue on. That, as we were talking about that tree, it certainly pulled us in, and as as it did, me and all my tools, my gadgets, I just started pulling some things out, and I do want to share this one clip. Well, not clip, picture, because I don't know how we skipped it over before. We talk about
Yeah,
this really cool handprint that we got, and we talk about at the Gill House this guy that pokes his head out. How have we not touched on this so much more than we have?
well, I think we were the subject of how much that watcher photo kind of
True.
took over
That's true.
the dynamic of this whole island for us in the investigations, because that was the first time we were there, and it was just with us. The other 3 times we were there, it was like, do you remember when we got this? Do you remember when we got this? It was always that watcher. And I think that this piece of evidence that we're going to show on the FLIR is just something that got lost, right? Because we weren't the other one was just so big, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how we overlooked this, but this
so
is
I think
to
this
me,
giant
this is
warm blob is me, right?
That is you. That's correct.
Yeah. I mean, it's very easy to tell me versus you on a FLIR, because all of my pieces kind of just meld into one massive red shape. So that's me standing in front of what we are affectionately labeling as the hanging tree.
Yes.
What in God's name is that on the right?
I
very obviously
know that too.
Two people walking away, 2 people together. It looks like, I don't know.
I don't know, but I wish we would have noticed this at the time, because I would have, being the guy that dies in horror movies first, I would have bolted back that way. But on top of it, that is where those noises were coming from. That is where that energy was emanating from, was back behind that tree in that field. It's insane to see it.
It is, and to be honest with you, I'm glad that we didn't see it in the moment, because I'm glad you didn't chase it. One of the things, and I'm going to go completely, off topic here. One of the things that drives me absolutely up a freaking wall with you, Derek, is when you see something, you chase it, right? And then you get off,
and you don't have to follow me.
Well, no, it's not that. It's just I don't know if you remember, but we've had an investigation at the Harmony Inn in Harmony, PA, where we had video recording. Again, this was like maybe the first year or 2 we were doing this, and we were running a still camera, and we saw what we thought was a ghost walking in the background of the footage.
Right. I did that was on me.
And we had somebody with us, Gabe, that was watching the video back, and he's like, oh my God, look at this thing. Look what we got. And then he showed it to me, and I was like, no, dude, that's Derek walking in the very back of the, 2 rooms away, that we walking through the doorway. And I'm just like, Derek, can we stand still for a little bit? So I'm glad. But besides that, right? Besides that, I'm glad that we didn't chase it, because we may have chased it away. Right.
So I feel like, looking at this picture, Dan, do you get any emotion from that picture? Do you feel anything coming from that entity there?
Yes, I get emotions very strongly in this area, because I relive the moment when I was there, standing, being that red blob, and also with the communication we got, it may be clouding my judgment a little bit on what I feel, but this tree has a lot of weight to it.
So I don't know what evidence you guys collected there. I don't know I have not dove into that. You guys know how much I avoid that. If I can look at something like this and get a clear view from it, it may just be knowing that you're near the hanging tree that is pulling this emotion from me. But I feel such heaviness and sadness there.
That is what you felt in the moment.
So to me, that to me looks like a man and a woman standing there with a woman's head on his shoulder, looking at this place where someone has passed and grieving. I feel such grief and sadness and heavy, and just so much just intense sadness looking at that.
Yeah, and we're gonna, right after this ad break, we're gonna get into the Phasma box communication that we got from this tree.
Yeah.
So in 3 minutes, we'll be back.
Mm.
Every ghost story and creature feature lies a far more terrifying truth. The real monsters wear human faces. In the chilling book, All Monsters Are Human, from Derek Smith, 10 Twisted Tales expose the darkest parts of the human soul. From killers hiding in plain sight to obsessions turned deadly. Each story invites you to step into a shadowed world where morality unravels, and the only thing more terrifying than what lurks in the dark is who. These aren't just horror stories. They're reflections of ourselves, showing what happens when fear, rage, guilt, and desire take control. Visit unexmedia.com for more information on All Monsters Are Human from Derek Smith. And you can purchase them at amazon.com from unexmedia.com. The truth, it's out there, and it's waiting for you. The Unexplained Network is your source for the best in paranormal programming, live video streaming, and audio streaming from hauntings, UFOs, Bigfoot, cryptids, and the ever-expanding realm of the unexplained. Listen live or on demand now on Spreaker, Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeart, and Pockets all over the World Wide Web. The Unexplained Network, where unexplained lives. The new book, How to Research a Haunted House by paranormal investigator Margie Kay and professional researcher Violet Wisdom, is now available from Unex Media. This one-of-a-kind book explains how to do research on a house with uncommon methods and resources used by historic home researchers, and how to determine who may be doing the haunting and why. How to research a haunted house can be used by homeowners, renters, investors, and it should be in the library of all professional paranormal investigators. Get this unique book at unexmedia.com or amazon.com. That's unexmedia.com or amazon.com.
So this audio from the Phasma box on the hanging tree, I think this tells the story, Aaron, right? And I can't wait till you hear this, because you've been hitting on so many things that this is going to get into. But this Phasma box was something that we opened the communication with, specifically around the tree. For those unfamiliar, a Phasma box it's an application on a laptop that is essentially slated, at least, as a spirit box without the white noise. So it's not cycling radio stations with, you don't hear that, that radio static sound between all of the words. It kind of filters that out and just,
We've
has
had some
words
really
come through
cool
much clearer.
things with this.
We have.
And we do rely on it a lot.
We have.
But this moment here, I'll play this
Yep.
clip now.
Different ways.
If you'd like me to leave, I can take my equipment with me. Can you light up the green light in the different colored lights, or can you speak a word on our device?
So I don't know why, but this one, the clip kind of started midway. So I'm going to play it one more time.
How many people were hung on this tree? Excuse me, hanged.
So that immediate that immediate response when we said how many people were hanged in this tree,
If you'd like me to
it
leave,
said
I can take my equipment with
7
me.
or more,
Can you light up the
right?
green
Like
light and the different
immediately, and
colored
it was
lights,
in
or can you speak a
a
word on our
female's
device?
voice,
Sorry,
which I thought,
I'll pause that there so you can get into your thought without the Phasma box
no,
going. You talking
you're
over
good.
yourself.
Yeah, no, you're good. So it was that immediate response of 7 or more when we said how many people were hanged in this tree. And
Th-
what I find interesting with what you're picking up on that photo, Aaron, is it
Yeah,
was in a
get away with
female's
it.
voice. It was in a female's voice that said that.
And also I heard they got away with it,
Hmm.
Yep,
right?
that's
That was
exactly
like,
you got it. That's it.
ooh,
And I mean that alone is just kind of tells the story of that area, right?
mhm.
So on top of that, on top of got away with it, there we also picked up in different ways and different people. So there was really a lot
Wow.
that came out of that one clip alone.
Yeah.
And that's what we find when we're doing places, especially whenever you're outside like this, because if you remember, Derek, there were not many people spending much time by this tree,
Not at
right?
all.
Everybody was so focused on the main part of the island over by, of course, the mansion, and those buildings in the back. I don't think that this area is an area where the spirits there get much airtime, so to
Well,
speak.
so if you think about it, we're very lucky when we can go back to these places because a lot of these people that were there, they was their one and only time on the island. So yeah, they're going to go to the mansion. Yeah, they're going to go back to the Neil house where the building's falling down. This time was our second time on the island, and I know we wanted to spend more time there. Like that was our plan going into it, and it was intense. It really
Mhm.
was.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, so we also had a weird thing happen over here by the hanging tree. We lost one of our cameras.
Before we get into that, I want to talk about the dock first because it all goes together. It ties right
Well, I
in.
was getting there. Yeah, I was getting there because it was
Okay.
when we walked over to the dock is when we
Correct.
realized we
Correct.
lost the camera, and when we went back to the tree, it wasn't there, and we went back to the dock, and later in the evening when we walked back past that tree, it was there again.
Right,
It was
right.
very, very weird.
It came and went, and that's the only reason. Sorry for cutting you off, but
No,
that
you're good.
was that definitely plays into it. That entire area over there with the dock too, where we had felt that we were being watched, and we heard footsteps, and not let alone another thermal capture there. So
I
that
love
was
the thermal. I love the thermal.
it's hit or miss.
I love
But
it.
yeah, I do I do love that area because it all kind of it ties together, but each area really you can feel it different. You can feel a break in it.
Hmm. So when we got over to this dock or this boat that is tied to the shore, uh, of course we heard the story of a guy within with it was at least or at most 5 years prior to when we were there. There was a person in modern times. It was somebody that volunteered on the island, or I can't remember what it was
Yeah,
exactly.
I don't recall the story either, but he was working at that. He was like the driver of that boat or mechanic or something along those lines.
Yeah, and I think if I remember correctly, it was something he had like a cardiac emergency or
Event,
something.
yeah.
Yeah, and he fell off of this dock slash boat slash barge slash horse carrier slash whatever, and he fell into the water. So he did die, but it was something that was, of course, not paranormal. It was something that was, his own body had given out. So of course, that's what we're thinking of when we go over here. Like we're gonna talk to this guy,
Right.
right? So what did we get over here?
So here, on top of the whole being watched thing, there's this. I mean, this is the thermal that we see these footprints. They actually followed us. At the
Mhm.
time, the thermal was so new to us that we didn't realize we could take a video with it. But I wish that we knew because we would have been able to just follow these feet as we heard the footsteps, turned around, took this picture. heard the footsteps, turned around, and took another
Mhm.
picture. It was so strange. But it definitely, you could tell that it just, somebody was right behind us that whole time. And I think at the time you felt like, uh, whether it was this man or not, you felt like it was somebody making sure that we were not going to fall, because it was slick. It was
Mhm.
slippery. And we knew that, we were warned of that, but
Yep.
that's how, I believe that's how you felt at the
Yeah,
time.
it was an energy that was a protective energy, but it was protective different versus the rest, like in the
Right.
backside of the island. The presence in the backside of the island was protective of the island. The presence on this dock was protective of us, right? Just like you said, Derek, it was making sure that we weren't idiots and walking right up to the edge of this metal platform that was like an ice skating rink in the middle of the Ohio River, right? So it felt like you just said it was playing referee to make sure we were not going where we were going to fall into the water potentially. It was such a cool little area, and we didn't spend a lot of time here, right? Because it was freezing cold. We were tired,
We
and
did slip. I mean, I know it was
yeah,
slick. There
hmm
was, on top of it raining at one point, you then have the wet leaves that were
hmm
starting to pile up all around it. It was slippery, and we did not want to end up as part of the island, as cool as it is.
Do you know, Derek, off the top of your head, if they have any documented drownings there?
Outside of uh, Margaret's daughter,
yeah, the little girl.
I
Yep.
believe she
There's
is
a
the
little
only
girl that
one.
drowned.
Yes, they believe she did. Yes,
Mhm.
that
Who's
was the.
I'm sorry, I
the
wasn't here for the first episode. Who's
Yeah,
Margaret?
I was
Oh,
gonna say,
sorry.
come back. Yeah, right. You're gonna have to rewatch
You
that
should go
other
back and watch our
I
episode,
probably should
Aaron.
watch your episode, but I have the expert right here. Who's Margaret? Where did this girl drown? Did she drown near this dock? No.
I don't know if we'll have to pull in the experts on this one. I don't know if they know exactly where she did drown. But they did, but Margaret was one of the Blennerhassetts.
Okay.
Tie in nicely to the
Nice.
gravestones here. At which we did spend some time near, with some activity, but it was Margaret's daughter who did drown here. They don't know much about her, how it happened. But yeah, it was one of the heartbreaking stories of this island.
Are there documented evidence of Margaret remaining?
Oh yeah, yep.
Yes.
There absolutely is. She's definitely one of the ones that's
Is she
in the
only
mansion.
inside the house, or is she
Mhm.
anywhere else? Like I'm feeling like
I wouldn't doubt it that she's elsewhere, that she's
Yeah.
all over the place.
So we got her in the house,
yeah.
and we also got her back by her gravestone, that Derek's showing here. We had some flashlights and devices set up on the corner of these gravestones.
Yep.
And we had contacted her during this session as well. So I do not believe she's tied directly to the house. It's possibly the whole island, because what you missed in the first episode, Aaron, was up in the bedroom on the second floor. I
Uh-huh.
saw the full body apparition of this little girl standing next to the fireplace, and it was just me in the room at the time.
Yeah.
And we have an AI created image that kind of shows what I saw, but I do believe that it was this little girl that had passed. So that
How
could
were-
potentially be where she went in the water, but we just don't know.
How were your interactions with Margaret? Were they positive? I mean, we're normally respectful and
Mhm.
treat. I wonder
Yeah,
if she connected with you, and then it was her protecting you guys.
It's very
It-
possible
it could have
because we
been.
Connected
never.
with her little girl. Her little girl appeared to you, and then you had good interactions with her, and she knew how dangerous the water was. So she was
Honestly,
fine.
that's not something that I've thought about. And we didn't spend any time really trying to communicate over there. Maybe she's the one that found our camera. Who knows, right?
I wonder.
Who knows?
But it's actually a very good question there.
Well, and it's a really, see, this is why this is fun, right?
Yeah.
Is because we have to look back at the entire time on the island and try to figure out if these are separate incidents or separate interactions, or if they are
I mean, we know
all
from our
tied to the
experience,
same dang thing.
right? We know from experience whenever you return to the same place, like they remember. And if
Mhm.
you have, if you've created a positive interaction with them, if you've created a positive and relationship with them, like they remember that. And whenever you come back, it amplifies whatever interactions you're going to have moving forward. It's like you're picking up where you left off with them. You know, you're not starting over again. You're just continuing that conversation.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think so too.
Yeah, and that's the second time we were there is when this little girl showed herself to me. And when we go back and do repeat investigations, I really do feel like they are more willing to expend the energy to get, themselves across to us versus people that are just there for funsies.
Yeah.
Like
And I
we're
mean,
truly there.
this was a camping trip, right? I mean, to your point, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, and for a lot of people, that's exactly what it was being treated as. It was being treated as a camping trip on an island where, guess what? No one's allowed to go without this thing, right?
Mhm.
And there were people there that were making an absolute mockery
Mhm.
of investigating and what it means, and they were there, and they just
Well, like you said,
they were the
respect.
people that use Ouija boards. You know what I mean? Like they're the ones that want to bring in that stuff that's gonna just
Yeah.
intentionally upset spirits just to get a rise out of them to make something happen.
Well, even if they're not intending to do so, it still happens. When you treat this as a side thing, rather than the focus and going on to their territory, their land, their home, that's what ends up throwing things off. And to be completely honest, we were like running away from people to try to get our own space and talk to whoever would, away from the groups of people.
Mhm.
Absolutely. So before we close out the full case here, again on this notion of respect and on this notion of the heaviness, the emotion on the island, all of these things, we need to go back on script for this last part, right? Because it's something that we wouldn't be doing the island and the inhabitants of the island still to this day. We wouldn't be doing them any favors not talking about these specific things. The final part of the island, which is Nemacolin's field, carries this name, and it's not just a name, right? Nemacolin's field is much more than that. It's a reminder.
Yeah, I mean, and kind of what I was touching on earlier. It really is a reminder of why we do this, and the real reasons behind the investigations themselves. It's so easy to just focus on some of these things, like the photos, right? The awesome thermal pictures, the audios that we hear. But it's not the whole thing. It's so much more than that, and there's no word for it, because it's history. We are living the history of these places time and time again, and exactly like the Nemacolin, the field. These places matter to us. They should matter to us, to everybody, but they matter to us, in such a primal level, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I do want to say too, like across many indigenous belief systems, the land itself is alive, right? Not metaphorically, literally. Spirits aren't always former people. We see this based on this investigation itself. They're not always ghosts in the way that our modern culture imagines it. Often they're guardians of the places around them, ancestors of the land, observers rather than just participants, and witnesses to what's happened in the past as well in the ground that they belong to. And in that context, feelings of being watched aren't necessarily threatening, but they're a sign of awareness and a reminder that you are not the first to walk there and that you won't be the last. I think that this island in itself is why respect matters so much to what we do and any attempts at interacting with the spirit world. I mean, respect during an investigation means that we're acknowledging the people that were here before us that maybe didn't get the acknowledgement in their own lives, and not treating location as props or playgrounds, but you're understanding that the history didn't begin whenever the records began, that you are really investigating with a humility and not an entitlement. We don't claim a place just because we're investigating it. We are ultimately guests, and especially on Blennerhassett Island, and especially in Nemacolin's field, that idea carries some serious weight.
When we talk about the feelings of awareness with these open spaces, and the heaviness that it brings, nothing seems, like it's present with you more so than on places like hollowed ground, so to speak, right? Those experiences make more sense when you try to understand the depth of what came before. Not everything watches you. Not everything that watches you there is necessarily frightening. It might look like it's frightening, right, with that picture, but that's not necessarily the intent. Some things watch just because they've always been there. And some places remember everyone who walks across them, right? And that plays back into what we were just talking about. Like the spirits in these places remember us. They remember that we were respectful. They remember that we've treated them like the humans that they were, and they reciprocate that back to us. So, as we close this case study, it's important to say something directly and out loud, and to say this out loud, because the evidence we capture on this part of the island, as well as the rest of the island, doesn't exist in the island of the vacuum, or the vacuum of the island, right? It's not just this one time. It's not just this one investigation. It's not just this one interaction. These spirits, they live on the land, or they exist on the land that is shaped by centuries of movement, memory loss, and resilience. And if the Blennerhassett Island feels aware, if it feels like there's something paying attention, it's maybe because it always has, right? And that to me is very powerful, and something that I think that if we would lose sight of that, we lose sight of everything that matters when we do this, right? Mm-hmm. So Aaron, as the third party on this investigation, I'm really interested to see. I don't want to say what doesn't sit well with you, but what really jumps out at you is something that if we get the opportunity to go back here, that we as a larger team now with more, more experience than we had before, with more tools, more equipment, but also more spiritual energy behind us. Where would you like to focus?
I'd like to focus on the interconnectedness around the island. I mean, we're not talking about areas that are sitting outside of other areas. Everything is connected, whether through nature, through the indigenous culture that's there, through the trauma that's there. I mean, everything is interconnected. And to be able to look at the island through that lens, I think would be really profound.
And I think the more and more we put things together, and even what you just mentioned about how something like someone at the dock could have been Margaret, I don't think that never crossed our minds. Did it, Dan? I don't think
not at all.
Time.
Yeah.
Never once until Aaron said it. Not once.
To really put that into perspective, it's huge. And I do think that all of these things, they do tie together. And I want to know why this island, outside of the history behind it, right? Like the written, documented history, and why here? It stems back so far. There's so much history that we do know about, but why did it all happen here? Was there something special about it? is it a ley line thing? You know how that's been talked about.
Mhm.
You know, but why here? It's incredible to me how many things have happened on this one very small piece of land that's trapped and completely surrounded by water, which
Hmm.
is really what led us here to begin with.
Yeah.
Mhm. One of the things that would be a focus for me if we go back here is it's kind of counterintuitive and counterproductive to what we're doing right now. We are sitting on a podcast trying to show people that are listening to the show or watching the show what we got, right? And that's where we started. We started in the breath of try to capture it on video. If we don't capture it, it doesn't exist, right? It didn't happen. Um, and you could tell we didn't show the video of us doing the offering, but you could see our utility vests that we had that were just packed full of stuff when we were doing this the first time. And when Aaron came on board with us a couple of years ago, like that's really what brought Derek and I back to ground level, so to speak, because we were getting so far off in this tangent of capture it.
It's the emotional
record it.
tie to it, you
Mhm.
know. That
Well,
comes,
but that's what we were missing,
right.
right?
That's
We
exactly, and
were
that's what I'm
missing the
saying.
emotional tie.
That's right.
And I would love to go back here with, of course, we're going to take the equipment, but we're going to kind of let it run by itself rather than have it in front of us the whole time.
Mhm.
Because we were still able to connect on a personal level for sure. I mean, no doubt, right? But I think that if we could
that little
continue to
girl
do that more,
that little girl would not have shown herself to you if she didn't feel comfortable
No.
and
Yeah.
connected to you, you know.
Mhm.
So there are things, looking at it in hindsight, that
no, yeah.
we did something right.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Oh no, I don't think we did anything wrong. Like I said, I just think that I personally would like to, put the stuff down a little bit and really, because no offense to those listening, I'm not so much worried about, capturing it, right? I'm more worried about what it does for me personally. That's just me, right?
Oh,
But
absolutely, and you're right.
you but we do need to offer a lot of gratitude towards two specific groups that were involved with this investigation, which would be the Blennerhassett Historical Society. They are, they're the ones that preserve the island, keep the history alive, and tell the stories and allow them to live on. But also, we would be remiss without mentioning Hidden Marietta Paranormal. That they are the ones that introduced us to this island.
That's
We
right.
did some investigations with them prior to this island. They are the ones that told us about the investigation. They are the ones that invited us back. And they were.
That's right. They invited us. They wanted us to be a part of it, and that alone means a lot.
It does, and they're a huge part of the Iron City Paranormal story, and how we have gone from two idiots that just wanted to, find something to do for a bachelor party, to having a profound impact on ourselves as well as others that have gone with us. And they were right there with us at the very beginning. So we would, like I said, would be remiss without mentioning them and advising anybody, if you're in the Marietta, Ohio area, to check them out. They have a absolutely incredible location that they manage in Marietta, Ohio, that is called the Anchorage Mansion. That's something that we're going to be talking about on a later episode, because we've investigated there twice. Again, coming back to those experiences, right? Very early on in our story arc, so to speak. They were there with us, so we're going to be touching on that. So I urge anybody to check that out anytime they're in the area. Any parting words, guys?
Excited for the next one.
That's right.
Let's
Okay.
keep it going.
Keep going.
All right. So every journey across the bridge leaves something behind, a question, a feeling, or a moment that lingers longer than expected. But no matter how far into the unknown we wander, there comes a time to turn back. Thank you for crossing the bridge with us tonight and for making the journey back safely. Until next time, stay curious, stay grounded, and remember, you can always return from the other side of the bridge. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.